Alright, in today's video I'm going to be learning about build-up play. This is a video by Football Meta. I love this guy's channel. He explains tactics in a way that I'm able to understand them. And in today's video he's going to be explaining why playing out from the back is the best tactic in football. So here we go.
Building from the back is an increasingly discussed topic in football, and seemingly everyone has an opinion on whether it's a good idea or you just end up with your goalkeeper looking foolish. Some believe the latter and would rather see their goalkeeper go long from goal kicks to reduce the risk of losing possession close to your own goal. However, others are more inclined to the former and believe...
Alright, okay, so I've actually wondered this. I've actually wondered why teams would opt to play the long ball rather than just distribute it back out to their center backs. Because when I'm watching teams, when I'm watching goalkeepers send the ball long down the pitch, I'm always a little bit like, I understand what they're trying to do sometimes, I think, but I've always been like, man, why wouldn't you just pass that out to your center back, let them advance the ball like that? And part of that might come from the fact that I played American football and I coached American football, and so I'm used to progressing the ball up the field in like a methodical manner. But then again, like we throw the ball deep, so I guess I've always wondered why a team wouldn't play from the back or build up from the back, and now that makes sense. So if you turn the ball over, you're turning the ball over in your own, I guess, third. I mean, that'd be the upper third, the high third, or whatever that's called for the opponent. And if you turn the ball over right there, then they have, there's a risk of conceding a goal. Okay, so I understand that now.
Building up in an organised and structured manner is the best way to create meaningful chances for the strikers. But who is right? In today's video, we're going to be answering that question by taking a look at some of the best managers that use this tactic, and why every team is slowly transitioning to build-up play. Now, building from the back is not a new concept, and has been a common tactical principle for many years. But the style and frequency has changed drastically over the past decade. A key component of this was the 2019 rule change that allows players inside the box when starting from a goal kick. We can see this in the number of passes that goalkeepers and defenders have completed, steadily rising in the past few seasons. Over the past 11 Premier League seasons, the most amount of passes...
Right, so that means, if I'm understanding that correct, before this rule change, only the goalkeeper can be inside the box, which I guess would change the tactic on how you would build up. Huh? I didn't realize that.
Per match has slowly shifted away from attacking midfielders to defenders and holding midfielders, with players such as Van Dijk, Jorginho, Rodri and Højbjerg dominating the passing statistics in recent years. It's a similar story with goalkeepers, with the average amount of passes per season going from 650 to 850 in Premier League goalkeepers. This is one of the main reasons as to why ball-playing goalkeepers and centre-backs have increased in value exponentially, and why it's not uncommon for teams to spend large amounts of money on players in this position. So, what's the key theory as to why managers...
I don't know who that is, but apparently that was a joke. Y'all explain that to me down below. Alright.
Believe this is the best way to start an attack. Well, to put it simply, when the goalkeeper has the ball, the team in possession will naturally find themselves in an 11 versus 10 situation, given that the opposing team goalkeeper will not be involved in defending. With teams pressing high up on the defenders, they will have to be extremely well organised to stop the ball getting out, given this natural numerical disadvantage. It's also extremely useful for creating space further up the pitch, as the team who is building up will look to lure the strikers into a trap, drawing in players closer and closer to the ball, increasing the space between defenders and midfielders before finding a striker or playmaker in this position. With this being the key motivation as to why managers believe it.
Alright, I'm going to pause it there so I can digest that little bit of information there. So, building up from the back affords you a numbers advantage. Because the goalkeeper, obviously, unless for some reason he decides that he just wants to be a part of he just wants to abandon his goal, which is a terrible idea. You have 11 on 10, especially if you're playing from the goal kick. I guess could the other team the other team could decide to just, I guess, back off and play the lower third, so then there's no disadvantage. I don't know, I'm thinking through these things, guys. If you're new to this channel and you're like, why is this guy so frustratingly bad at understanding this? I am an American football fan, and I just recently became a fan of football, and so I'm trying my best to like work these things out real time. So if I'm spitballing some stupid ideas, y'all just let me know down below. I'll get it worked out as we keep going. But yeah, all right.
It's the best way to play. Let's take a look at the main components of build-up play. The key behind this style of play is to have players in each of the key zones on the pitch, and using the man advantage that the goalkeeper creates to add more support in a certain zone that you want to exploit. Playing out from the back is reliant on creating triangles and freeing up passing lanes, with fast passes and movement to slowly force the opposition into a position that leaves gaps. It's common for the fullbacks to stay wide to stretch the midfield, meaning there are more passing options through the middle. If the opposition stay narrow, then the fullbacks hold the key, as they will be the ones with time and space. Although seemingly not important during build-up, the attackers and wingers have a crucial role to play during the first phase of play, also known as pinning. Pinning refers to the concept of preventing an opposition defender from pressing, as if they did, it would leave a dangerous gap behind them. For example, the wingers in a 4-3-3 will often pin the opposition fullbacks, meaning that the fullbacks in possession can receive the ball without being pressed, giving them more time to find the players ahead of them. So with that out of the way, it's important to note that no two build-ups are the same, and can vary greatly depending on the players and the manager. To gain a good overview of the main components of build-up, we're going to be taking a look at 3 key managers. The first is Pep Guardiola, arguably the best known manager for his style of build-up and the success he's achieved with it. The second is Thomas Tuchel. Since his arrival at Chelsea, he's already won the Champions League and turned Chelsea into one of the toughest teams to beat. And a big part of this is how he chooses to build up from the back. And finally, we're going to be taking a look at Napoli's Luciano Spalletti, who has a very unique and innovative way of playing out from the back. In his early days at Barcelona, Guardiola was a key proponent of the so-called salida la volpiana. The term refers to a concept used by the Argentine coach Ricardo La Volpe, in which he would always ensure he had a numerical advantage in defence by having one midfielder drop into the back line. The centre-backs would split, and one holding mid would drop deep, helping the team outnumber the opposition strikers in a 3v2. By doing this, the fullbacks would have space to push further up, meaning Guardiola's teams would immediately switch to a 3-3-4 or 3-4-2-1 when in possession. This method meant teams could not afford to press with too many players, as this was exactly what Guardiola wanted, as it would create plenty of space in midfield for the wingers to come and collect the ball and for the team to immediately attack the back line. Now, in recent years, Guardiola has shifted away from having the CDM drop between the centre-backs, and is a lot more reliant on using the goalkeeper. The key innovation we've seen from Pep in recent years is the use of the inverted fullback to break the press. It's now common for Manchester City to build with a back 3, the 2 centre-backs and the goalkeeper, and while one fullback will push up and stay wide, the other will drift inside and play narrow alongside the CDM, adopting a 3-2 shape during the first phase of attack. A look at last season shows us how Diaz would play close to the goalkeeper, and Stones would start a lot wider on the right of the back 3. The right back Cancelo would drift inside next to Rodrigo or Fernandinho, with Zinchenko stretching the pitch on the left. This lopsided 3-3-2-3 shape was a nightmare for teams to stop. Cancelo's position will often attract the left mid, meaning the team has a direct channel into the right winger, often Riyad Mahrez, who has time to receive and start their attack. If the opposition close this passing lane, then channels open up centrally for Gundogan and De Bruyne, meaning the opposition have a tough choice to make when starting their press. Guardiola is certainly one of the best in the world at his style of build-up, and has proved countless times to be able to adapt his tactics to suit the needs of the game. However, last season, Pep was bested by Chelsea's Thomas Tuchel, who has a very unique approach to build-up. The first important difference to note is the choice of formation. While Guardiola has used the 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 for most of his career, Tuchel's time at Chelsea has seen him use the 3-4-2-1, an extremely versatile formation that can stretch teams vertically and horizontally. With a back 3, there is no need for the holding mid to drop deep into the defensive line, and with Mendy in possession, the 2 centre-backs will split, and the right centre-back Azpilicueta will shift further out on the right flank, adopting a very wide back four with the goalkeeper. Given the extra man in defence, it means Reece James and either Chilwell or Marcus Alonso will immediately play high and wide, looking to pin the opposition fullbacks. Now, while this is an excellent way to stretch teams horizontally, it could potentially leave a lot of gaps in the centre, given there only being 2 midfielders against a possible 3. However, given that the fullbacks are pinned and the centre-backs are occupied with Lukaku, it means the 2 attacking midfielders, usually Mount and Havertz, can drop deep to help level out the midfield. For example, the ball could move out wide to Azpilicueta, who will have support from Jorginho in the centre, but also Mason Mount coming short into the half space to collect, who can then help rotate out of pressure. Or on the other side, Rudiger could immediately break the lines to Havertz, who will lay the ball off to Kovacic before finding either Lukaku or switching play to a less crowded area of the pitch. Having these attacking rotations along with aggressive wingbacks means the opposition will have a difficult time keeping track of who to pick, and allows Chelsea to easily break the first line of pressure. Tuchel's methods are proving to be incredibly difficult to stop, and Chelsea look like serious title contenders this season. Finally, the last manager we're going to cover is Napoli's innovative Luciano Spalletti.
I'm actually not completely sure I understood his philosophy completely there. It might be one of those I'm gonna have to run back and think more about. I'm not really sure I understood that at all, honestly. But that's what happens sometimes when I dive into the deep end only 7 months into my journey here. First, I don't know what it was. Not like he was explaining anything poorly. I guess maybe my mind is so caught up by Pep's philosophy of football that sometimes it might be more difficult for me to understand other people's way of thinking, because I really, really think along the same lines of his. I don't even know what I'm talking about at this point. This could be all nonsense.
From his time at Inter and Roma, we've seen how Spalletti has a preference for a flexible backline, usually starting with a back four but building with a back three, with one fullback pushing immediately high up on the flank. But more recently, Spalletti has changed how he structures the back three. His ploy is to have one of the 2 central midfielders move from the centre towards the half space and outside of the 2 pressing strikers. From this position, the midfielder becomes an easy passing option for the centre-backs, and is a tricky one to defend, as it leaves the opposition in 2 minds.
Right.
If he's pressed by the winger, then it leaves space for the fullbacks to receive the ball. However, if he's pressed by the midfielder, then it leaves a central gap for the CDM to move the ball forward. While we've seen how fundamental the half space is on attack, rarely do we see managers use this position during build-up. But we've seen with the...
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so I do like adding this. I guess he would be like a middleman, sort of. I don't know, like a ladder. I don't know if that makes sense, but a ladder. Like you might want to play the ball to either that fullback on the right side of the pitch here, or you might want to play the ball to your midfielder around the center line. And so the best way to do that is to drop that guy in between. So depending on who presses him, he has an outlet to pass to get the ball advanced. I like that. I kind of like that. It's kind of like a ladder, or that's what we would call something like that in football, American football, a ladder. All right.
These methods, how it can be an extremely tricky situation to stop, especially when defending in a 4-4-2. These 3 managers are just the beginning of innovative and unique styles of build-up, but they're certainly not the only ones, and there are hundreds of other managers that have a great approach to this part of the game. Now, with teams building up from the back, this has naturally led to the increase in high-pressing teams, as this is seen as the best counter to playing out from the goalkeeper. However, that is a topic of our next video. For now, let me know what your favourite style of build-up is in the comments down below.
So another great video by Football Meta. We got a little bit of an explanation as to why teams are innovating with playing from build up. I can kind of see now why some people might opt for playing the ball long, because maybe it is dangerous to build up from the back, because if you don't have the right players in place in that back line who are proficient with ball control and passing ability and and have a great touch, then it's very possible that if the right team is pressing in the right way, that you could force all kinds of turnovers and in disadvantageous positions. So I can kind of see why some teams might opt for letting their goalkeeper play the ball long. So fun video. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're new here, man, I've got loads of content of me just diving into the deep end of football. Like, I'm not just over here watching highlight reels, although I do have some of those as well. I really wanting to try to learn this game in a really deep way. So if you're wanting to be a part of that journey, please subscribe to the channel. I get like almost 1 million views a month, so I mean, we need to be building up more than 16,000 subscribers. So please, join me here. I'm sure you'll have a great time with my videos. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.